All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next session, the startup showstoppers. Some people have all the luck with them, isn't it? Like Julius Caesar said, I came, I saw, I conquered. Blockbuster successes created into case studies in a few years of inception and already referred to as industry change makers. These showstoppers can truly inspire awe. Is it the vision, the timing of a launch, their marketing, or a lovely lady called luck? Let's find out in this session the startup showstoppers. And for this, I'd like to invite on stage our session chair, Mr. Atul Nishar, the president of TiEcon Mumbai. All right, since this is going to take a little bit of time, how many of you have registered for the lucky draw? Could you just raise your hands so I just want to see the number of people. There are very few. So you have a better chance, huh? 1, 2. Can you just raise your hands like, okay, wonderful. So there are a lot of people. Superb. Okay, great. Atulji, request you to please come up on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Atul Nishar, the president of TiEcon Mumbai, session chair for this segment. We have Ashish Hemrajani, the co-founder and CEO of BookMyshow. And we have Jain, the co-founder and CEO of Dream11. Hello. Okay, so before we start this, let's do the lucky draw. Yes? Yes? Okay, great. So we're going to do a lucky draw, and you're going to play Lady Luck for all of them. Now, okay. Just mix it really well. You didn't mix it. Okay, now go for it. Doctor? Okay, please.
Dr. Bishram.
Dr. Bishra.
Dr. Bishram Singh,
Dr. Bishra?
founder and CEO of Vision to Value Services.
Not there?
No.
Look at the happy faces. Yes! Not there! My name's coming up.
Okay, you'll have more luck.
Anurag Madan, company name Trend Oi. Trend 1 or Oi?
Is that you,
Trend
Anurag?
Oi.
You? Okay, congratulations. Let's give it up for Anurag. He's won an Eco Dot. Yes. We have one more Eco Dot. Congratulations to you. Please. Please come. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Yeah, very lucky. Yeah. Ashish can take one more? Okay, Ashish, you can take one more. One more. Yeah.
Pranav, UAD Ventures, Sterlite Technologies. Sterlite Technologies.
Okay, so we have one more chance then to go.
Oh, I thought I could keep it. The dabba is bigger than the gift. Chintan Parekh, Polygon Pixels.
Chintan?
There.
Chintan, congratulations. You should be coming running with your hands up, yeah. Out of everyone you won, congratulations to you. Ladies and gentlemen, दूसरों की खुशियों में तालियां. Okay, with that, over to you, Atul.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Let me see how you all in what mood. How's the Josh? That's better, yes. So we have a rare occasion where we have two founders of unicorns, highly successful entrepreneurs, category leaders. In fact, they themselves are the categories. There was no category like this till they formed their companies. So they are category creators, and both together on this platform. So give them a big applause. And I can assure you it's not very easy to get them to come and talk. So it's occasion that all of you should use to listen to their views and learn from them. So first of all, let me start with Harsh. Since Harsh doesn't talk too much, so let me initiate the discussion with him. Harsh, you were studying abroad and you returned to India and you started this business, Dream11. Can you explain to us, how did you get this idea? When you come from a business family, so I guess there is some genetic involved. Yes. And did you see any foreign model on which you have created the company? So how have you really thought of starting this business?
Sure, sir. Thanks for having me here today. So I went to do my higher education in the US. And just before that, I was in London after my school in Bombay. And that's when I got introduced to fantasy football. So anyone plays fantasy football here, EPL? Okay, so quite a few people. So yeah, I got introduced to fantasy football. I'm a big Manchester United fan. And so, yeah, there you go. Still a big Manchester United fan. I was playing for like 7 years while I was studying abroad, and that's what kept me connected to all my friends back home. That banter, who's in your team, who's not. And when I moved back to Bombay in 2008, after my undergrad, went to play fantasy cricket for IPL, because that was the first year of IPL. And then it wasn't there. And I said that this is crazy. 70% of sports fans in the US play fantasy sports. And here we had 1 billion Indians who are sports fans who didn't have fantasy cricket. So really it wasn't about market studies or research or anything. It was purely out of passion that I asked my friends, let's solve this problem for us. And hopefully 100 million other Indians will also like it. And we just jumped into it from there. A lot of people, I went and met a bunch of gurus of gaming industry, tech industry at that time, and they all told me what a terrible idea it was. And they were absolutely right. So we launched it in 2008, and 2009, 10, 11 was a complete disaster. And then, to your point, the Marwadi genes had to kick in and say, कि ठीक है कुछ धंधा भी बनाना है. So we pivoted to what you see today in 2012. So it was a fun journey till today.
So you changed the business model?
Yeah, we changed everything. So we started with fantasy cricket to solve for fantasy cricket. But like most other entrepreneurs or people at 22 years old with an idea, we said, okay, we'll launch fantasy cricket. Then we said, okay, let's launch cricket games and cricket news and live scores and stats and players' records and news, and we kept going till the whole site was full of everything, and fantasy cricket was a small part. And then 3-4 years later, we figured out that, okay, we have to focus on the core, change the business model, only did fantasy cricket in 2012, and then expanded from there.
Many successful startups, when they thought of the idea, people around them told them it's not a good idea. Now, let me come to you, Ashish. Ashish has a very interesting record that he started internet company when there was no internet. So how did you think of BookMyshow, knowing that people don't have access to internet? How are they going to book tickets? So how did you really think of, and did people not stop you from doing something stupid like this?
So firstly, by saying that Harsh speaks less, you were basically saying I talk a lot. So it's a nice snide way of telling me that I talk a lot, but I'll take that in my stride. You're right, it was crazy because I was stupid. BookMyshow started because of smoking and drinking. And I don't smoke, but I used to work for an advertising agency after I finished my MBA. And it was like the series Mad Men, where everybody smoked in the office in '97. And so that secondary smoke got to me, and I liked sailing, being out in the outdoors. And I wanted to clear my head, and I went on a backpacking trip to South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Botswana with all the money that I had collected in 2 years on a paltry salary of 8,000 rupees a month. And I had 60,000 bucks, which included my airfare, hitchhiking, backpacking, getting mugged, planes, trains, automobiles for a 4-week holiday. And I was backpacking from Joburg to Cape Town when I heard a radio commercial trying to sell rugby tickets online. And being in India, while growing up, if you went to a movie theater, the 1956 Cinema Regulation and Telegraphic Act of India hasn't been changed till today, where you had pigeonholes, there was a dress circle and balcony and stall ticket, there was an advance and current, you had to stand in one line, there were timings for the box office, there was black marketing for tickets at cricket matches, you had to stand overnight and then get lathi charge to reach the box office to be told all the black marketers are selling tickets. And here I was trying to listen to this radio commercial which said that if you buy tickets online, you get early access, you get discount on merchandise, you get a free beer. And I'm saying there's a structural hole that we need to fulfill. Then I continued down my journey and I reached Stellenbosch, which is the wine growing country of South Africa, which is like the Napa of the US. And when you go there, they give you free tasting of wine, 5 glasses per person. And everybody takes that wine and sips it. And you know, they look at the viscosity, is it breathing, put it through their lips and their palate, and then spit it out. Now, just like he's a Marwari, I'm a Sindhi. Anything given free in life is valuable to me. So, you know that Sindhis have large nostrils because the air is free. So, I kept drinking from 11 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. After 25 glasses of wine, I was so drunk, I woke up in a youth hostel on a bunk bed that wasn't mine the next morning. And I had sent the most expensive text message of my life to my boss, saying, I hate the job, you should change this. She sent me a message back saying, you're fired. So I lost my job, came back, built a business plan, went to an investor, and got funded in my savings bank account at the age of 24, when I was drunk and there was no internet. So that was the stupidity.
So, Ashish, when you started this, certainly you disrupted an industry and you would have disturbed many vested interests. So, was there no resistance? What were the obstacles after you got going with this business?
See, I would define obstacles as external and internal. And I think external obstacles or the environment is something that doesn't bother me. As an entrepreneur, you're always super optimistic. So whether there's government, there is external pressure from black marketers at that time, policy, what's not in your control, why lose sleep over it? As an entrepreneur, if you're going to get disturbed by what people say or what the environment is, I mean, if it's too hot, jump into a swimming trunks and swim. If it's too cold, have a malt. If it's extra cold, have a whiskey. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you cannot control the environment. So the only thing that you can control is your mind and the quality of your input. And at that time, I was only driven by the fact that there is a gap in the consumer experience. And how do you change that experience was the only thing that was driving and was motivating me. So just to give you an anecdote, from 1999 to 2002, and later on till 2007, when the second wave of internet happened, there was no data connectivity, there was no mobile phones, there were no internet wired lines, there was TCP/IP, very slow, no debit card, no credit card, no net banking, no UPI. And so we ran 7 call centers in 7 cities. Even our numbers were different because the telecom operators were different. And we would home deliver tickets and collect cash. And we would buy inventory because there was no trust. So on the weekend, we had an opportunity loss. On the weekday, we had an actual loss. So in the internet world, your cost curve needs to flatten as your revenue curve keeps rising. In our business, our revenue curve and your cost curve kept going up. So it was a very difficult time. And like I was telling you earlier, it was almost like Bajaj washing machines who had launched way before its time when everybody used to wash clothes with sotis. And the only place they did a post-market research to find out where they were selling, and they were selling in Punjab. And they figured out that why only people clean clothes in Punjab. And basically the dhabas were using it to churn lassi for the truck drivers. So the point was that we were too early, but we stayed the course, and the environment changed, we still behaved the same way.
So when did it really take off?
See, the next revolution, so 2002 to 2007 was a tough period because I went through the dot-com bust in 2002. I went from 150 people down to 6, and I had to let go of 144 people by taking them to Shivaji Park and saying, listen, the dream is over. And then, but I got them a 6-month severance package and then tried to place most people in jobs because that was the right thing to do. But 2007 is when the next wave of the internet, as they call Web 2.0, happened. And then it's been scaling, but it's the last 5 years that I would say in India have really defined the current space that we are in.
Harsh, can you take us through your journey? And you said you changed business model in 12. So how has it been over this period of time?
Sure. So in 2008, like I said, we started with fantasy sports. We actually emulated, to your earlier question, we were copying the fantasy sports, EPL fantasy sports, and in USA you have Yahoo, CBS, ESPN. So we copied that model, and we thought that'll work in India too. But that was a season-long, ad-driven monetization model, which was free to play with prizes. And in India, CPM rates, ad rates are excruciatingly low. And then you have a nice balance sheet with accounts receivable for any sales you do. But then it's a new learning curve when you come back that accounts receivable and cash in hand don't mean the same thing. And it's a very, very hard lesson to learn that your balance sheet can look amazing, but the company can be bankrupt. So we learned that for some time. And in 2011, the idea was we kept experimenting. So once we knew the model wasn't working, we tried 100 different models. And then in 2012, we actually figured on the right model, cleaning away everything else and sticking to our core business, bringing down fantasy sports from season long to per match, and changing away the ad-driven business model to a rake, if you may, right? So we take a commission, and we allow people to put in money and get money back out legally. And so that helped a lot. But then even in 2012, we had the problem of scaling up. And so that's an entire new problem altogether. We scaled up organically 2012 to 2015. And then we had about 300,000 users in 2015. And today we've been growing that over the last 5 years with the help of our investors to about 78 million users in India. But that's only been possible because of, thank you,
Amazing.
but those 5 years have been a lot of fun war stories, which we can share over some longer drinks. But, funding, I think we are talking about this even
Yes, I was
backstage.
about to talk on funding. How, when your business model is was not yet settled and you were changing business model. How were you able to impress upon the investors and carry them along?
I wasn't. As most entrepreneurs and most people read in the news only the, the top creme de la creme of funding, events, and all the amazing stuff that happens. But I've said this on other times as well, that I pitched to investors for about 2.5, 3 years, and maybe 150 that I could count said no to me. But each meeting that we had with an investor taught me something new about the business, about my business, that I could improve on. And this wasn't just to improve to get funding, it was actual improvement in understanding my business better. And so I would say this one thing to any entrepreneurs in the room, that please go, share your ideas, meet the smart people that are looking at all the ideas, meet investors before you need to. They will help you chisel your own idea. Please don't keep your idea to yourself, because I can't think of the last original idea that succeeded, especially in India. There's not a single original idea. It's not about ideas. It's about execution. It always has been. And so that's the one tip I would give.
That's absolutely amazing point you've made, because we come across lots and lots of people who say, I have a fantastic idea. No, I think it's a winner. So it's a big point you're making. It's not about the idea, it's about the execution, how you go about. But when you talk on execution, did you face any environmental issues, like you are in an area where you call it fantasy sports, regulators could have looked at it differently. So how did you face these hurdles, if at all you had?
Yeah, I think it was very clear that when we started out, everyone thought that sports plus money equals to gambling, right? That's the standard thought process. And we had a problem with setting up a bank account. We had a problem with getting payment gateways to approve us. We had a problem with advertising. We had a problem signing any brand ambassadors. We had a problem hiring employees. I've had to get on calls with potential employees' parents explaining why they're not joining a gambling company. And so we had it all. But, because we knew that already there was a precedence that games of skill are legal and games of chance are gambling. And fantasy sports essentially is like a stock market for sports, right? Based on players' past history and expected future value and performance, you'll choose them. And so we knew there was this precedent already abroad, proven completely in the US and other mature markets, and could be proven again in India. So once we had all the legal approvals, then we started out. But we never had a judgment from the Supreme Court till today. Today we have a judgment from the Supreme Court as well. So today it's 100% legal in writing. But the journey, I believe, entrepreneurs should understand that if anything is black and white, clear as day, right? That's not going to have an opportunity. Then all the large corporates and all the top companies in the world are going to jump into it. The opportunity for entrepreneurs is when there's a bit of gray area. If you look at Uber, Ola, Airbnb, BookMyshow, everyone has operated essentially in an area where people were not quite sure that this is 100% okay or not. And that was the way that they grew. And so that's an important part to note, that these hurdles that people look at outside are actually opportunities for entrepreneurs that we survive on.
So you think you'll continue to grow? What next in growth?
So
what's the goal?
So our next phase for us is that we have tens of millions of sports fans on our, daily sports fans coming to Dream11. What else can we solve on sports for them? And so we've launched a new app called Fan Code. We're backing entrepreneurs in all these ventures to solve. So Fan Code solves for sports, long-tail sports content. And then we're going to be getting into a lot of other sports analytics, a lot of sports businesses to serve the underserved sports fan in India. It's a real shame, this room, how many people are India cricket fans? Okay, so basically the whole room. How many people know exactly where to buy an India official cricket team jersey? Let's ask him later where to buy it from. But that's my point. One person in the room, I think, put their hand up. And that's a shame, right? So sports commerce, sports merchandising, sports content, long-tail content is not existent, which we're hoping to solve.
So Ashish, how did you go about fundraising?
Well, fundraising, my view on fundraising is there's more companies die out of indigestion than starvation. So when you're fat and you've bloated yourself with too much money, you start doing stupid things. And when you say you're a startup, you're an entrepreneur, you've got to be nimble. So our lessons, so my first fundraise was through a fact sheet. At the age of 24, I sent a fax. Those guys were as crazy as me. In 1 week, they funded me. And I was sitting at home after my MBA, quit my job, and my parents thought that I was black marketing. And at that time, there was no VCs, angel investors, TiE, structured sort of, organizations. And they were like, you don't have a business, you don't have a job, you're going to be black marketing, and somebody is giving you $500,000 to sit at home. Are you a drug dealer? I mean, they were like, what the hell is going on? And today, with the media and all of that, everybody knows that this is a new way of funding. By 2001, I was invested by News Corp. By 2002, I went through the dot-com bust. 2002 to 2007, we built the foundation of the business. And what we did in that period, actually, no Ivy League college could teach us. And those principles and values and culture still stays at the company. We only have black and white printers. We fly low-cost carriers. We are very nimble. We are very frugal. And it's not about how much money you make, but how much money you save. So we still run a very, very tight ship. Having said that, today, we sell over 20 million tickets a month. We have 65 million monthly actives. We have 100 million users. We have crossed 200 million tickets. We are probably one of the top 3 in entertainment ticketing companies in the world, and probably one of the largest entertainment enterprises in India. And we are still extremely frugal. So 2002 to 2007, we were self-funded. My alternate light bulbs are off. I did not have air conditioning. We still run it the same way. And it's ingrained in the DNA. However, in 2007, when the market turned, we did one round of fundraising. Then we did a round of fundraising in 2012, 14, 16, and 18. And the reason we did that was not because we needed the money that time, because we didn't need the money. So we take a very contrarian view. When the markets are down like they are right now, we're on an acquisition and a hiring spree. And we are spending money on marketing. When the markets are buoyant, we go into a shell. So we're exactly contrarian because we hire better talent, we get better prices, and you can raise fund, you can do a good round of fundraise if your metrics in the business are right. And it's not about whether you're a unicorn, what is your silly metrics of CAC over LTV, which is cost of customer acquisition over lifetime value of the customer. It's about revenue. It's about when will you turn the corner. It's about how low can your costs be, what are your margin and your unit economics, what is your margin contribution, how well you and tightly do you run a ship, do you have SOPs in your business. You can be a startup, you can be disruptive, but do you file your P&L on the 5th of every month? Do you do a board call on the 5th of every month? Do you run a proper board meeting? Your actual board meeting should be finished 1 day prior to your board meeting, where you speak to all your board members and then you pass resolutions. That is called growth of building an enterprise. So you will have to make the transition, and you can't hide behind the fact that you're a startup. And you have to grow up. And I think that is very important for a lot of organizations to put that discipline and rigor right from the start of the journey. And it cannot be that some global CEO is going to come or some consultancy is going to come and tell you to do what you already know after spending $1 million to do that.
So you did all this because you wanted to become... So you followed this discipline because you wanted to become a unicorn?
But that is to a total fallacy. Listen, if you are all budding entrepreneurs, my view on unicorns, how many of you use BookMyshow? Okay, thank you very much. It runs my
I think
kitchen.
let's have how many of you
Okay.
do not use BookMyshow.
Sorry?
Let's have how many of you do not use BookMyshow. That's
No,
one.
now my next question is,
Ye to
how many
answer.
of you have actually seen a unicorn in real life? Which is a horse with a horn. It is ugly as hell. So it's a fantasy. Stop chasing a fantasy, play fantasy, but don't chase a fantasy. So when people ask me that, are you a unicorn? So I'm like, boss, I'm not going to answer that question. So then they ask me, "Arey, kuch to bolo, koi to animal honge aap." So I'm like, okay, you want an animal analogy? I am a mongrel here. I'm a dog. It's a very tough battle out there as an entrepreneur. It's not an easy journey. You're a mongrel. There's a street fight out there. You go out there and it's a dog fight every day. Somebody is kind to you, be kind. Somebody is polite, be polite. Somebody gives you food, have gratitude. If there's a shady spot, sit there. As a dog, sorry to use that analogy, because you're an entrepreneur, you can do what you want. You can do whatever the hell you want. And that's why you started the company. Otherwise, you'd be in a job. And at the end of the day, there is always a battle to fight on another day. If there's a pack of dogs run, you can always pick a fight on another day. So they're like, "Nani, dog is a very bad analogy. Please use another animal." I said, okay, I'm a cockroach. Abhi 21 years I've survived. You open a microwave, I'm there. There's a nuclear holocaust, I'm there. You can keep trying to diminish me, but we will survive. And enterprises are built over 25, 30, 40, 50 years. If you want a quick fix, there are no easy lunches. You cannot build a company in 2 years and 3 years. You can make an Ulu out of somebody in 2 or 3 years. You can build an enterprise and start thinking like an investor, like I want to exit. The investor's job is to exit. Your job is to leave a legacy and enjoy the journey. And the byproduct is your valuation.
So Ashish, when are you going to write a book on all this?
Well, somebody approached me for a book deal called Book My Life. I said the day I'm 75 and, I'm going to go to some beach and settle down. That day I'll sit and write a book.
Ashish is never going to write a book because he's going to be on Netflix and he's going to sell that tickets to that. He's going to make a movie, BookMyshow movie, sold on BookMyshow exclusively.
No, I may do a stand-up comedy or NCPA and then sell my tickets.
Okay, done.
But Ashish, you have very interesting lessons to tell us. I think we'll not wait for the book to come out. Can we get some more lessons from you that there's so many startup entrepreneurs sitting here? What more lessons would you give to them?
Look, I think firstly, the most important thing I'll say is your Monday mornings need to be as exciting as your Friday evenings. I mean, you want to go into work on a Monday morning and you've got to be enthusiastic. People ask me after 20 years, why do you do that? And that equation of mine doesn't change. I look forward to Friday evenings, go for drinks with my team. Saturdays, I race my boat. Sunday, I spend time with the family. Monday, I'm brimming with ideas on what next to do. And it's not about those big world-changing things. It's about incremental gains where you walk into your office every day and think about what can you do next? How can you make life for your shareholders, for your consumers, for your employees better? Also, you must have a purpose in life and a purpose for your business. And valuation, money, cash is a byproduct. And that'll come. So my point is, what is the purpose of BookMyshow today? So one of the lessons, and I want to take 2 minutes because I think entrepreneurs need to understand that, because all they read is newspapers talking about valuations, how much money was raised. They're vanity metrics. Please don't follow those vanity metrics. At BookMyshow, I started a charity called Book a Smile. So I'm not a very religious person, but Krishna's discourse to Arjun on the battlefield of Mahabharata is the Gita. And the Gita's lesson in one line is, if your intent is good and your end goal is clear, then your action can be wrong. Krishna was a cheat. He kept the sun up during the battle. He did insider trading and told Arjun the weak spot of Karuna. So if God can do that, why can't I? So every time you buy a ticket on BookMyshow, instead of opt-in, I have a opt-out which is Times New Roman 6 font gray. You miss it. 86% of my customers. I collect 1111 rupee per ticket. And all of that goes to a charity called Book a Smile, where we support double amputee kids which go to the Paralympics. We support girls in Jharkhand for their soccer program. And today, if your purpose of your business is not, if you can't draw from society, create value and give back, whether it's for your shareholders, for your employees, for the community at large, then what is the purpose of doing business? I mean, there are easier and worse ways of making money. And people look up to you today, and I think it's very important for entrepreneurs today to have a purpose, have a culture, have integrity, build that into the DNA of everybody in the business. As a role of a founder is to be able to do that. And you have to wake up every day believing that these are your 3 or 4 KRAs and KPIs. And keep it very, very simple. And then have a work-life balance, because otherwise you'll burn out. So these are a few things. If you want to be a marathon runner, your Saturdays and Sundays have to be that important. So I get a lot of new budding entrepreneurs and saying, I worked 18 hours, I worked 19 hours, I work Saturdays and Sundays. And I'm saying, great, I'll see you on your funeral. The point, boss.
So work-life balance. So Harsh, if you were to restart Dream11 today, what would you do differently?
I would probably first of all listen to those gurus I went to earlier and save 3-4 years of failures. But I think that also were great learning lessons. But I think what I would do earlier is set the culture first, right? And I think this is something that we all learn over time, but culture is truly the only one thing that scales. Because if you set the company with a right culture from day one, and it doesn't have to be right or wrong, it can just be what you believe, right? Because as a founder, that's one of the biggest perks. Culture is what the founder's culture is. And it just flows everywhere from there, right? And so, but we never wrote it on the wall. We always thought that, culture is something that you understand. And suddenly, as you start scaling up, culture and perks and benefits start getting totally mismatched, right? Someone thinks that culture is having nap pods in office. I have a joke about this, but I say that today's generation wants to work from home and sleep in office. And so I don't understand when people say we want nap pods in office and we want to work from home. I'm like, boss, go home and go to sleep. Come here and work, please. But culture is what you do in every meeting. Culture is what you do when you're at home thinking about work. Culture is how you work, why you work. And so culture is something that I would set from day one, which we didn't. And in the last 5 years, we've paid a lot of attention to it, and that's really helped us scale a lot faster and better than we would. Because if you have the right culture, you will
So
get
Harsh,
those people in.
sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
but
please.
what exactly you do to build that culture?
So for example, we have 5 tenets of culture: data, ownership, performance, users, and transparency. So we made a fun acronym, do put our culture first. And these 5 tenets are the only things we rate people when we hire them, when we give appraisals and increments, and the reason for which you're fired. And so we're very, very strict on culture because we believe that if you are data-driven in your decisions, if you have ownership in everything you do, if you are high-performing, if you put users first, and if you're transparent, then you're welcome at Dream11, and you will get other people that agree with that culture to come, and they will perform beyond their expectations. So many companies, many tech companies actually have high attrition rates because that's how the industry is. And I'm proud to say that because we focus so much on culture, we have only a 3 to 4% attrition rate. And that helps us keep our knowledge base within the company, keeps people happy. And to Ashish's point, the work-life balance has to be there. These are all important parts of building a company, the softer parts, which are actually sometimes more important than everything else. If you get the softer parts right and hire great people, they will work their ass off for you and they will get the results. You don't need to worry about that.
At the last count, Dream11 was valued at 1.5 billion. So why would you not exit and cash.
So first of all, these valuations, I believe, along with Ashish, that they're all BS, let's say, for not allowing to use a more explicit word here. But, these valuations are just vanity metrics on a piece of paper. And I stand by the fact that, we should rename unicorns to revenue cons, right? Like revenue unicorns, that people that have a revenue of $1 billion can be titled to a unicorn. That's actually worth something, right? But unicorn, this $1 billion valuation, people don't understand the rights, people don't understand the different investors come in with liquidation preferences, the kind of rights you can't imagine that people come with. You can write whatever valuation you want if I have all the rights in the world, right? So these things don't matter, but right now maybe there's this mass herd mentality about making unicorns. Please, I've barely met an entrepreneur who's built a great, successful business who started by saying, unicorn banaunga, right? Usually people start with saying, I'll solve a problem. I'll solve a problem which I believe in, which I will persevere when others have failed, which I will keep going until I solve it, and hopefully which is a large enough problem, right? But the reason I haven't exited also is that मैं घर पे बैठ के करूँगा क्या? I think I'll drive my family
as they
crazy.
say in US, go to the beach.
Go to Chowpatty, though I went on Sunday also. So I can go to the beach even while running Dream11. But so I think that's the point, right? I'm not running Dream11 to build a unicorn and exit. I'm running Dream11 to serve the underserved sports fan. And that doesn't stop.
So Ashish, did you at any point of time feel like giving up? Enough of it. I love sailing anyway. I do sail on Saturday, Sunday. Why not add 1 or 2 days more? So did you get that thought? Enough of it.
Many times. But whiskey, beer, and wine have the same effect. It brings you back on track. So the moment you think of that, have a drink, and it will again come back on track, because again you're delusionary and you're like, next morning, let's go and build something. No, jokes apart, I think, look, I personally believe that investing, stock market, life in general, economy, always has its ebbs and flows. As long as you remember that all good times are temporary and so are bad times. What do you do in those bad times and how do you behave in the good times? Today we are riding a high, but we are humble, we are non-egoistical, we are continue to be nimble and passionate about our consumers, about creating value. In times when the tide pulls back, as Warren Buffett says, you know who's skinny dipping. So when right now the time is bad, we are hiring, we are acquiring, and we are spending money on marketing because the competition is not. And so it's your behavior in these times which will help you run the long course. And as long as you enjoy your Mondays and Fridays, like I said, you personally, your journey should continue. The day that equation changes, you stop doing what you do. But you cannot second guess yourself. Because if you play the long game, and sailing has taught me those lessons, that you can't mope and complain. All you can do is adjust your sails, because the tide and the wind is not in control. You're not in control. All you can do is adjust the sails and enjoy the journey.
So we have some time for audience questions. So yes, Pradeep. Pradeep Udas is the TiEcon conference chair.
Yeah, take this.
Hello, it's working now. I thought you wanted to exchange the seat with me. Yeah. Ashish, I have a question for you. I mean, I think you built a great business and it's wonderful, story. Really, we've been doing TiEcon for a number of years, but the passion with which you talked about building the business. So I was just thinking, where do you go from here, right? I mean, you have such a big user base. So if I were to think laterally, millions of people are using your platform to go for certain movies or some form of entertainment. So you have insight into what they are watching or buying. So do you get into some content business because you know that people with large nostrils watch certain kind of movies, or even knowing the consumer behavior, that if they're watching this kind of movies, then they may buy certain type of products, etc. What's your thinking in that?
If I tell you my business strategy, I'd have to kill you after that. But I'll take a shot at it. Not to kill you, but to tell you some of the stuff. Number one, look, let me first establish the ticketing side of the business. There are 12 screens per million people in India, as opposed to 120 screens per million people in the US. India sells 2.5 billion movie tickets a year, which is all of Africa, North America, Europe, and Middle East put together. The average ticket price in India used to be 33 cents, which has now grown to $1.70, the average for India. The multiplex ticket price on an average is about $4 right now. Having said that, the headroom is phenomenal. And why do I say that? So a lot of people say, oh, OTT platforms are coming, will people just watch at home? In fact, since the OTT platforms have come, it has never been better. We've been growing 100% year on year because, look, people don't go to the movies to escape from reality. They go to the movies in India because we are a hot, dusty, noisy, harsh environment country. It's too hot out there. It's either raining or you're sweating. So this is the cheapest form of indoor entertainment you can get in the world. In fact, in the South, the movies business is so big is because movies are sold as Rameshwari 70 air-conditioned cinema. People go to the movies. So many years ago, when we had done a research in 2002, one of the South Bombay cinemas in the afternoon was showing an occupancy of more than 45%. And then we figured out what was happening in the afternoon on a weekday. All the medical reps used to go to a movie theater, 10 rupees stall, and take air conditioning and go to sleep. Because there were no coffee shops in 2002. There was no Starbucks, there was no cafe coffee day. It was the cheapest way. We have the highest amount of sunshine on earth with the highest number of vitamin D deficient people who keep taking injections. Because we don't like to be in the sun. You want to get married, you have to be fair before you have to be educated. So we have an issue with being in the sun. So for us, that's beautiful because movie theaters are indoors. That's number one. Number two, there are better scripts being written because of OTT platforms, and therefore they are not star-run on a holiday films. So what tends to happen is better screen, better scripts. So if you look at 2018, 2019, all the films that have done well, Tanaji, which is a Marathi film, has actually rocked it. So look at the trend. Now, given this user base, so that's on the movie ticketing side. So there's still a headroom for more cinemas, not in big towns. We're present in 680 cities and towns. But it's really about tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 India where there's nothing. The other one is live entertainment. So we want to now build a new business and an industry where people are not used to stepping out of home and consuming live entertainment. And therefore you would have seen we've done U2, we've done Ed Sheeran, A.R. Rahman, Arjit Singh. We have a big pipeline and we built a new vertical which is headed by another CEO, which is on the live entertainment side. The third is infrastructure. We're trying to solve the problem of infrastructure. There is only one NCPA in the country. There are no more theaters, there are no more venues, there are no arenas, stadiums which you can't use. We had to do U2 in DY Patil because there's no stadium. We have 2 stadiums in South Bombay which you cannot use. You cannot use Wankhede because a cricket pitch, you can't use CCI because members won't allow. And both of them don't have parking. So the problem is, where do you park? So that's why we had to run trains, which was the first time in the history of India. A local train was run for U2 by BookMyshow called the Joshua Tree train, which ran from Andheri to Mahim to Dadar to Kharghar and then came back. And we transported 4,500 people.
Wow.
And it was a special track. And we had 150 buses, air-conditioned buses that ran. So the infrastructure problem. The third is content. But I'm not going to go into my strategy on content, but you're right. That's the other one. We are the biggest neutral platform in the country for review and rating. We've become an authority because we have an algorithm, which is a machine learn and an AI platform, which gives a special secret sauce rating to movies to help and assist you for plays, movies, and concerts and what you should watch. And then we have a merchandising business. So those are our 5 business, but they're adjacent. And what we've done is we've done some backward integration and forward integration in the space that we operate in. So we're not suddenly going to go and do some random business which we don't understand.
Great. Next question. Question there, yeah.
Hi Ashish, hi Harsh. That was a really great, very insightful overall. My name is Divyanshu Damani. I've got a Y Combinator-backed startup called Tag Mango. We're in the influencer marketing space. So a lot of talk is around culture and being a young entrepreneur. Can you tell us some actionable things that I can do early on in my company to build the right culture for the longer run? Some really actionable things.
Harsh also has a phenomenal culture. I'll give you 1 or 2 anecdotes and he should also talk about it. I've seen his office, 1 floor, 250 people, phenomenal culture, so he should also answer this. But I'll give you 1 or 2 anecdotes. And look, again, this is very disruptive and you can hear of lovely Google, sort of you can search on culture. I'll give you an India-specific problem. We talk about equality. An office boy came and served me food. I'm a creature of habit. I had my Sunday leftover food I eat on Monday. I eat curry chawal, aloo tuk for all Sindhis. Sunday leftover I eat on Monday. And my office boy came and served me and I said, why don't you eat some? This is about 4 years ago. And the guy said, no, I won't eat. And I thought it was this stupid hierarchy in India, right? And I said, no, eat. And then finally he said, no, I can't digest it. I said, what do you eat every day? And he said 20 rupees worth. So he doesn't have a choice. You may say, I want sushi or I want a pav bhaji, I want a burger. He didn't have a choice. So I said, I have to change this. So from a cultural point of view, I started stealing from the rich and giving the poor. We serve 1,600 meals a day in our office because we have 1,600 employees across Singapore, Malaysia, Jakarta, Sri Lanka, Middle East and India, and all our offices. And we serve a meal a day. The meal costs us 85, but we charge 125 rupees. It's a fully balanced meal. But anybody whose salary is 30,000 and less and will not cross 50,000 gets the meal at 20 rupees, but nobody knows what he's paying. So we steal from the rich, give the poor. It's based on your biometrics. Everybody eats the same meal. Everybody sits at the same table. People in India are thin not because they're doing intermittent fasting and keto diet and all that BS. Because they don't have enough calories in their body. Second, in my office, except for gender segregation, all toilets are common to everybody. There's no staff toilet and executive toilet. If you want equality, everybody is trained in personal hygiene. Third, we also have gender equality. So we do a lot of work around that. These are certain cultural nuances. We have a fund in the company for employees. Anybody who's in that salary bracket, their kids' education for life is funded by us. Having said that, even if they leave the company within 2 months, our relationship with the child continues for life even if the employee has left. So, so for me, that culture setting and purpose is extremely critical. And all the other fun stuff on how we run our meetings, how creative we are, what is our workspace, do we have a terrace, do we do Friday evening beers and music, वो सब होता है, वो तो आप Google कर सकते हो. But these are very important things that I think are core to us and we wish to continue and spread this word as much as we can. But Harsh should answer his cultural thing, very interesting.
Sure, so I'd say that, let's talk about the 5 tenets, right? I can give you maybe an example of each. First of all, you have to kind of set your own culture because every company has its own culture. It's not about right or wrong. For example, an Amazon can have a very different culture from Dream11 can have, BookMyshow can have its own culture. And it doesn't matter what culture you have, you'll attract those kind of people who will work really well. For example, our 5 tenets, right? For data, we have this no hippo line, right, from the Valley, which is no highest paid person's opinion. You have to then encourage people at every level to challenge even the CEO openly in meetings if you have the data. And that's something that we really encourage. In terms of ownership, we strongly encourage people for experimentation. And we actually applaud failure, right? And that's something that's a major problem in India, is that people say, "Arey, ye try nahi karna hai, what if I fail?" Right? And if I fail, then let's all share the blame. So I don't want to put my name on it because then I might lose my job. So as an entrepreneur, I would say encourage failure, promote it, but don't encourage second-time mistakes, right? So if someone makes a mistake the first time, it's an experiment and it's great because you've learned something. No one learns from success, we learn from failure. But if you make the same mistake twice, then you're stupid, right? So that's something we are very clear about. If you talk about performance, we don't, normal companies have KRAs, OKR, KPI, metrics. We don't have any of that. Your peers rate your performance every quarter. If you get a 7 on 10, you're good, continue. You get below 7 on 10, strike 1. 3 quarters in a row, strike 3, you're out. End of topic. I fired a VP like 6-7 months ago whose team was doing perfectly fine, but he got less than a 7 on 10 rating by his team on our 5 principles. It doesn't matter. If you don't stick by culture, you're not there. If you talk about user first, that's something we're working more on, but every single thing that's decided on what to work on at the company, an equal weightage is given on whether users will like it, irrespective of what we think, as to whether it makes a difference to our business. And transparency in every single thing, right? Every problem we have, every achievement is transparently shared with every single person in the company. So these are just 5 quick tenets, but we could go on forever about it.
Thank you, that was very
Harish,
insightful.
the last question, Harish.
Hello. Can I just ask? Hello.
Harish Mehta is the founder president of TiEcon Mumbai.
Both of you are from Mumbai, and TiEcon Mumbai's vision is to build a healthy ecosystem in Mumbai so that hundreds of entrepreneurs of your caliber emerge from Mumbai. What would be your suggestions to build that ecosystem in Mumbai?
First thing for tech entrepreneurs would be, please don't run to Bangalore. Right? Let's build in Mumbai, right? Like we're from Mumbai, we can, I think we had Ola, we had Quicker, all started in Mumbai and went to Bangalore. We have amazingly smart people in Bombay, in Mumbai. We have IIT Bombay right here. We can build real businesses in Mumbai, but it is more effort. I won't take that away, right? It is much harder to build a tech company in Mumbai than in Bangalore. But again, your attrition rates are much lower. For long-term success, I do believe Mumbai has proven to be better for us. But with the caveat that you don't need to hire like thousands of engineers. If you do, then unfortunately, we haven't built that ecosystem yet in Mumbai. But I think that all of us need to build large, sustainable businesses in Mumbai to grow Mumbai as a tech hub. And so that'll be my 2 bits.
My view on this, if you want to succeed in China, you want to be close to the government. You want to succeed in India, stay far away from the government. But for this, we may have to engage with the government. I think the challenge with Bombay is real estate. It's just too expensive for kids to live. Not for companies, we can afford rental. A kid coming out of an engineering college, if he has to live in Mira Road and take 2 trains and then come to work every day, his quality of life diminishes. So you really need to be able to have community living, which is hubs like Powai, where you have an IIT, you have hubs like Malad, you have hubs like Lower Parel, and you've got to be able to solve the housing problem with the real estate challenges. Now, hopefully that'll get solved, but you need to give a lot more SOPs. That's number 1. Number 2, I think having a vibrant city or an environment helps. And this 24 hours bars and all of that that Aditya has put in place helps. My recruitment drive in Bangalore went up because we opened our office in Church Street. There are more than 30 bars around there, so all the kids can go have a drink. So the point is, you've got to be able to identify what company are you running. If you're running an analytics and a data company or a deep tech company, Chennai, Hyderabad are very, very important. Bangalore, there's too much competition. Bombay, we look at ourselves as a tech-enabled company, but it is an entertainment company. And for me to be based out of Bombay is extremely important. also because I love the city and I was born here, and my business is here. Having said that, we had to open a center in Bangalore, which has 150 people. I have 15 people in Singapore for some work that we do, and I have 45 engineers in Jakarta. And then we have an invested company in Pune, and then we have an agile way of working where we have stand-ups and all of that. But it is not easy. I would say that to solve this problem where we have talent, and mind you, 5 or 7 years ago, a lot of startups came out of Bombay, from IIT. Bhavesh from Ola came out of Bombay. He moved to Bangalore. Quicker came out of Bombay. He moved to Bangalore. And so I think Bangalore and Hyderabad's gain has been Bombay's loss. And it's largely due to real estate, transport, cost of living. And that is a problem which at TiE's level, I think we need to sit with the government of the day to be able to create those hubs and solve that problem. Otherwise, it's not going to happen.
Ashish, if you might have missed but we actually presented a report for Mumbai Innovation Central in Kalina, which is addressing exactly the same thing. We've started talking with the government, Mumbai University. Kalina has 200 acres of unused land. So set up like a village with a co-living besides, so where you can startups can do. So hashtag MIC, guys, I'm going to reminding you again, if all of you can do a support on that, they'll help us negotiate with the government.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the key part. Is either make the infrastructure good enough where travel times are low, so that people can travel further distances in shorter times and never be more than half an hour away from office. But to that point, what we do is we at least, because we are a truly, virtual platform, and we don't need the thousands of engineers. We pay all our employees 50% of their rent if they stay within half an hour of our office. So what happens is that we actually get people to move closer, because I believe travel is the most ridiculously inefficient waste of time, right? It is unproductive, it doesn't help us, it doesn't help you, it definitely doesn't help the streets with adding more cars and more people. So if we can solve for infrastructure to go further, faster, or have more affordable living, like you're saying, at these kind of tech villages, then that will solve in a huge way for Make in Mumbai.
So all good things have to come to an end. So we've come to an end of this session. Ashish, Hemrajani, and Harsh Jain. Thank you very, very much.
With that very heartwarming session, I would now request Pradeep Udas to please.
Super interesting session.
Absolutely.
And we do hope to get support from both of you in future and come and share your progress with all of us again. Thank
and anyone
you.
looking for free housing in Lower Parel, you can take his email ID. I'll give it to you.
I request Mr. Praveen Gandhi to please step forward. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next session on funding, scaling up, going global. Speakers are ready now. You left it?
Master, yeah.